यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय घोषला प्रभुपाद की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्राये स्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, The Appearance of Sri Narada, Text number 5. 5 दृष्ट्वानुयान्तं ऋषिमात्मजमाप्यनग्नाम् देव्यो ह्रिया परिदधूर्न सुतस्य चित्रम् तद्वीक्ष्य पृच्छति मुनो जगदोस्तवास्ते श्रीपुंविदानतु सुतस्य विविक्तदृष्टे दृष्ट्वानुयान्तं ऋषिमात्मजमाप्यनग्नम् देव्यो हि परिदधूर्न सुतस्य चित्रम् तद्वीक्ष्य पृच्छति मुनो जगदोस्तवास्ते श्रीपुंविदानतु सुतस्य विविक्तदृष्टे दृष्ट्वानुयान्तं ऋषिमात्मजमाप्यनग्नम् देव्यो ह्रिया परिदधूर्न सुतस्य चित्रम् तद्वीक्ष्य पृच्छति मुनो जगदोस्तवास्ते स्त्रीपुंविदानतु सुतस्य विविक्तदृष्टे Three devotees can try to recite. Vishwanuyantam Rishimatmajamapyanagam Devyorya paridadhurna sutasya chitram Tadviksha pritchati muno jagadostavasti Sattadrishte Vishwanuyantam Rishimatmajamapyanagam Devyorya paridadhurna sutasya chitram Tadviksha pritchati muno jagadostavasti Vishwanuyantam Rishimatmajamapyanagam Sutasya chitram Tadviksha pritchati muno jagadostavasti Translation. What meaning? Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Drishtva, by seeing. Anuyantam, following. Rishi, the sage. Atmajam, his son. Api, in spite of. Anagnam, not naked. Devyaha, beautiful damsels. Priya, out of shyness. Paridadhu, covered the body. Na, not. Sutasya, of the sun. Chitram, astonishing. Tat Viksha, by seeing that. Prichati, asking. Muno, unto the Muni. Vyasa. Jagadu replied, Tava, your. Asti, there are. Stripum, male and female. Hida, differences. Na, not. Tu, but. Sutasya, of the sun. Vivikta, purified. Drishti, of one who looks. While Sri Vyasdev was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth, although Sri Vyasdev himself was not naked. But they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them, made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. In the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 18th verse, it is said that a learned sage looks equally on a learned and gentle Brahmana, a Chandal dog eater, a dog or a cow due to his spiritual vision. Srila Sukadeva Goswami attained that stage. Thus, he did not see a male or female. He saw all living entities in different dress. The ladies who were bathing could understand the mind of a man simply by studying his demeanor, just as by looking at a child one can understand how innocent he is. Sukdev Goswami was a young boy, 16 years old, and therefore all the parts of his body were developed. He was naked also, and so were the ladies. But because Sukdev Goswami was transcendental to sex relations, he appeared very innocent. The ladies, by their special qualifications, could sense this at once, and therefore they were not very concerned about him. But when his father passed, the ladies quickly dressed. The ladies were exactly like his children or grandchildren, yet they reacted to the presence of Vyasdev according to the social custom because Srila Vyasdev played the part of a householder. A householder has to distinguish between a male and female. Otherwise, he cannot be a householder. One should therefore attempt to know the distinction between body and soul without any attachment for male and female. As long as such distinction is there, one should not try to become a sannyasi like Sukdev Goswami. At least theoretically, one must be convinced that a living entity is neither male nor female. The outward dress is made of matter by material nature to attract the opposite sex and thus keep one entangled in material existence. A liberated soul is above this perverted distinction. He does not distinguish between one living being and another. For him, they are all one and the same spirit. The perfection of this spiritual vision is the liberated stage, and Srila Sukdev Goswami attained that stage. Srila Vyasdev was also in the transcendental stage, but because he was in the householder's life, he did not pretend to be a liberated soul as a matter of custom. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsa Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyatya Desatarini नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतुसे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्रा जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna. Welcome for the morning Bhagavatam session. So please seek the blessings of all the devotees, although impure and unqualified, want this opportunity that I can purify my heart and speak something as a service on this verse. So this verse is very beautiful. It says about the uh, glories of Sukdev Goswami, and here we see something very unique, special pastime happening. So Vyasdev is calling Putra, Putra, Putra. And because Sukdev Goswami appeared and he just ran. He was 16-year-old in the day of his appearance. He was 16-year-old. This is something itself very unique. Nobody is born with 16-year-old age. He was born at 16-year-old age. Really, we marked the first date as the day one. His day one was 16-year-old, then plus one. That means he was grown up fully. And because he is born, so he is totally without any dress, he is naked. But immediately he started running, and behind him Vyasdev is running. Putra, Putra, Putra. All the trees are creating echo. Putra, 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 etc. But Sukdev Goswami is not stopping by. He is running, 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 running. Vyasdev is chasing, and one sight created a shock for Vyasdev. Vyasdev knows that he is himself very liberated, and everybody knows this. And qualities of a Pandit or a liberated person is given in Bhagavad Gita. They are equal visioned. They have no distinction between the external bodies between different people. They see them just as mere dress. So Vyasdev also has that vision. Pandita Shama Darsina. That's what Prabhupada starts with this concept. But Vyasdev was in shock that although he is also a person who is having Samadarshan, Samadrishti, and his son also has Samadrishti, but people do not have Samadrishti for these two. People have different drishti, father for father and son. Both are liberated, but people are not seeing the two as behaving with the two in the same way. Why? Vyasdev also comes in shock. How does that happen? Because when Sukdev Goswami is going, he went beside some water body where some young Matajis were taking bath and they were having no dress upon their bodies. Sukdev Goswami, when he was passing by, He has passed and these ladies did not feel any shyness or anything. But behind him, as they were chasing, immediately they started covering up their bodies with clothes. Therefore, Vyasdev was in shock. So much so that he asked, he took the time from his chasing project. Let me give a pause. This is a big question. I want to know what made the difference. Tell me, why did you feel shy from me? And the ladies replied that it's written here. Stripum Vida. Stripum Vida means Stri and Pum. Pum means Pumsa, means man. Stri means female. So between male and female, you have some discrimination because you are a householder. But your son has no discrimination. He knows nothing. What is male, what is female. So, so many times people have this question: what is the gender of the soul? Or many times people have this question: why God has to be a male? Why not female? Some feminist ideological people they may speak like this. So in spirituality, the concept of male and female do not work the way it works in our conditioned state. Generally, whenever we say male, we have a certain idea. Female, we have certain idea, and the idea is based on the distinction between body. But male, female are basically Purush and Prakriti, and Krishna is the original Purusham. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Namam. Krishna is the Adi Purush. He is original male, and rest everyone is Prakriti. Krishna says that Bhumi Rapanalo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha Ankar Tiyame Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. Then the next was Aparya Mitastanya Prakriti Me Vidhi Sanatana, like this. I have another Prakriti. So we are all Prakriti. So why? What is the problem of becoming? There is no such concept of male female when it comes to the Swarup or the spirit, spiritual existence. This is a very external distinction, and those who are liberated they can feel this, understand this. So this drishti is very important. Therefore, the way is actually two parameters that are used to test the advancement of a living entity will be displayed. First is his ability to conquer sex desire, and second is his ability to overcome monistic ideology. Sudhir Goswami passed both of them by first having no interest because it did not exist. He did not have to suppress or divert the interest. It did not exist. The sex desire or such kind of discrimination, it was not there at all. But the bigger thing that was there is his attachment to detachment. He was detached, he was monist, and that was the test. But he passed that also by showing attraction to that glorification of Krishna, which was sung in the form of some poem by some other ladies in his journey of running away from the home, and he got attracted. That means he passed the test of monism. So these two are big obstacles in the journey of Krishna consciousness, and generally people fail in the first one only, sex desire. It is so difficult to overcome. It is therefore said that this world is Maithuna Agar, a world which is having shackles which are invisible, but which what is that invisible shackle? The Maithuna Agar, that sex desire. I remember with respect to this one article by His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj. We had few books, Beggar series. So there, I have not read that book, but one day I opened it. The page I opened, that was a very difficult for me. It was for very high level thing. So Bhakti Tirth, I will read it out here. Bhakti Tirth Maharaj is having a meditation. This is after Prabhupada has passed away, and his thinking that tomorrow, if today is my last day, and tomorrow I happen to meet Srila Prabhupada, what will be my conversation with Prabhupada? So that he is meditating and writing there. So I will read it out. It's very heavy, personally for me. He says that tomorrow I must meet Srila Prabhupada by Bhakti Tirth Swami. Today is the last day of my life. Tomorrow I must meet Srila Prabhupada. What will I say to him? What will he say to me? I will say to Srila Prabhupada, I am Ghanashyam Das, the one who distributed your sets of books to the academic communities. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I will say, I have never broken any of the regulative principles and I have faithfully chanted over 16 rounds every single day since I joined the movement, never once missing. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire? I will say, I have maintained a program of fasting on all day on every Ekadasi. Fasting all day on every Ekadasi, especially from liquids and all foods for most of my life as a devotee. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I will say, I have also maintained a program of eating mainly once a day for most of my life as a devotee. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I will say, I have for most of my devotional life maintained sleeping less than 6 hours each day. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I will say, Srila Prabhupada, I have faithfully read all your books and I am trying now to distribute them in many countries where there is neither paper nor printing presses available. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, my son, but have you given up sex desire? I will say, I persevered as your GBC member responsible for the largest number of countries in the world, that is 50, which happen to be the poorest in the world. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but how about the sex desire? I will speak about my cultivating a few heads of state and a few diplomats. Srila Prabhupada will say, are you now free from sex desire? I will give Srila Prabhupada a report on the temple construction and farm projects in a few different countries. Srila Prabhupada will say, this is very good, but how about the sex desire? I will give a report on the number of temples I have opened and the number of devotees and new disciples I have made. Then I will notice Srila Prabhupada's voice becoming even more penetrating as he chastises me, just as it did the very last time when I was with him before he left the planet. This is all by Krishna's mercy, not ours. It is today that this chastisement has full meaning for me. You were telling me, Srila Prabhupada, then and even more so now, that I must give up this sex desire, subtle and gross. We must first of all realize that any achievements we have accomplished internally, externally, individually, or collectively are simply by your mercy. Secondly, we are to understand that as long as we still have such devastating sex desire, all of our offering to you are tinged, having various degrees of of the contamination. The disciple can never repay the spiritual master for what he has given. Also, we understand that one must be careful not to think that the guru needs him or that he is doing something wonderful. Whatever we offer, it is so incomplete if we have not given up sex desire. You, dear Srila Prabhupada, preached up until your last breath, completely selfless for the benefit of your disciples and the world. Now we must also give everything we have to you. As today I die and tomorrow I have to meet you. It is today, right now, that I must give you the greatest offering a disciple can give to his guru. While I still have a little more time, I must give up all remaining attachment to sex life, subtle and gross. I can understand that I have nothing really to give you, but if I can become totally free of all sex desire, then I can really become your puppet so that you can do with me as you like. Now I am so much of an imperfect instrument. In these days, our society is having many problems and varieties of understandings. These things are very small in contrast to our real problem, which is sex attachment. This attachment is obstructing our vision tremendously and making big problems seem small and small problems appear big. While we are debating, the demons are getting more and more positioned to attack our movement and the global community in general. Most of us will not become really serious until major catastrophes hit us directly in the face. But how can I talk when I now hear you saying to me with a deep compassion and with sadness, you cannot come with me. Still you are possessing sex desire. As you walk away, my pain is unbearable. As I reflect on the pain I have and I am giving you by my imperfect state, my own pain increases that much more. I scream, crying out in anguish, please forgive me, please help me, please don't leave me. Then I remember I still have a few hours to surrender everything to you. As today I die and tomorrow I must meet you. I am the insignificant beggar who is quickly running out of time, but by your mercy I have this last chance to make the greatest offering, to offer you myself in an uncontaminated state, free of all such desire, so as to be a perfect instrument for your mission. A very deep prayer by His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Swami Maharaj. At least for me it's very heavy because this comes in the purport. I thought I will mention this. So this is one of the parameters of testing one's advancement. Therefore, in so many stories we see basically how big people have fallen victim to this one desire, whether they are uh, in householder life or they are in the renounced order of life. We have all types of example. People like Kichak, he was made into a pulpy substance by Bhima because he became victim of this thing. Modern leaders also so many examples, although they are big president, prime minister, but so many scandals get caught. What to talk of bogus people claiming to be religious sadhus? They are also, so this is a big problem. From neighbor to the entire world to the entire universe, this is a common powerful force barrier. Therefore, we should be very alert to this and take shelter of the parampara of Sukhdev Goswami. Today's disappearance of Rupa Goswami, Gauridas Pandit. Few days back it was Vamsidas Babaji. So basically when we see this in the core, more core than sex desire is basically the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, which manifests in different ways. And this is one of the toughest way, but it can manifest in many ways, whether in the mode of passion or ignorance or goodness. Like for Bharat Maharaj, it was not sex desire that made him fall down. It was compassion to a deer, but that compassion became an obstruction for him, for in his service. The thing that creates a gap between seva and dedication to the spiritual master, no matter how moral that appears, one should renounce that. Otherwise, even a good thing can become a bad thing for us. Like for Bharat Maharaj it became. So the very vows of a person can become a trouble. Sometimes in the name of, what I'm trying to say here is basically it's not so easy to become clear that what I'm doing is going to save me. We are in the need of mercy. If let's say we say that we will follow strict brahmacharya, then one may commit the offense of not saving a woman who is catching fire. This happened in some yatra. Lady Mataji got into fire and the brahmachari is sitting. I saw the fire, but I did not. After all, I am a brahmachari. And this is an offense where that Mataji is also Vaishnava. One can just shout and go and do something, put water, whatever, but taking no action. So sometimes the very desire to dedicate can become an obstacle. Bharat Maharaj probably, if he had desired to stay in the kingdom with some sadhus, he would have done bhakti nicely. But he decided I will dedicate very strongly. So much strongly he dedicated that he became distracted. So sometimes the vows only become a distraction when one may commit offenses. Just like when Akrura went to Vrindavan to bring Krishna Balram, it was Ekadasi fasting day and he forgot, not Ekadasi fasting, basically Ekadasi happened and the next morning he left for Vrindavan, it was the Paran time and he forgot to do Paran. So one of the rituals says that one, if he has failed to do Paran, then he should wait for the next morning and do the Paran and continue his fast. But he goes to Vrindavan and Nand Maharaj very sweetly offers him many foodstuffs to eat. And Krishna personally comes with many things to offer to Akrurji. Then Akrur thought, what is more important? My vows of Ekadasi Vrata, Paran or Krishna is offering me, why should I deny? He ate. He forgot what is. So this is like Krishna telling Yudhishthir Maharaj, lie. Yudhishthir Maharaj doubted Krishna. And how can I lie? His vows to or his moral principles of honesty, integrity. So what will become an obstacle, we don't know, because everything in this world is tainted with duality. Therefore, we should try our best to remain disciplined. At the same time, this discipline can cause trouble. So, what is the solution? Mercy. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Atmavasya vidhe atma prasadam adhigacchati. One who attains mercy is the person who is trying to do his best to follow the discipline. So that doesn't mean that if discipline creates problem for us, we should give up. First of all, we are not disciplined, and then when we become disciplined, we become fanatics. So we have to try our best to remain disciplined, but not losing the shelter of Vaishnavas, because that is the mercy that will protect us. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasya ko jate. The next verse basically says this. So when discipline makes us proud, that will create trouble. Just like one story, I think Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaks, or Prabhupada, there is a magazine, in e-book in ISKCON Desire Tree, where it was a very nice story was mentioned. A sadhu was there and a prostitute was there. And every day, the sadhu will look at the number of customers that will go to the prostitute, and he will criticize, what a lowly creature you are. And the sadhu will do morning to night strong tapasya. So, on the other hand, this prostitute will look at the sadhu and she will feel very guilt. What a life I got by my own past karma and my wrong choices, that I have to survive like this. If only I could also go to temples freely like all other women are going, but they are not allowing me because I'm into this fallen business. I'm so unfortunate. And she would worship a deity of Krishna in her room, Gopalji or Saligram Srila Prabhupada, probably Gopal deities, and cry tears of love for Gopal, praying that next life she wants to become a devotee nicely. So that was her heart. And so what is impurity? What is purity? Prabhupada says in one of the lecture in first canto, first chapter, first verse, Janmadi, there he says, purity is a confidential thing. Although we have our understanding of purity, but Prabhupada says it is a confidential thing, and he defines purity as surrender. As much as one is surrendering, in whatever situation one is, as much one is surrendering to the will of the God, will of Krishna, and this parampara, that much he is pure. Now all his present background goes to background. It doesn't make any difference in the eyes of Krishna, because Krishna is so pure. If in front of Krishna our impurity and purity both are insignificant. Krishna is not interested in purity, and he is interested in surrender. So therefore Prabhupada defines purity as very confidential thing. It comes from surrender. So this prostitute, when she was having this type of attitude at the end of her life, she was in the almost about to die, and this sadhu was also almost about to die. That time, Yamadutas came in front of the sadhu, and the sadhu said, "I think you came in the wrong address. You have to go to that side of the colony. There lives one prostitute. I have counted how many times she has seen, how many customers she has entertained throughout her life. See there, I have kept a marking system." And the Yamaduta says, no. For that address, the Vishnu Dutas are going. This address, we have come specifically for you. So this is why, well, whole life you find fault, and your heart is filled with so much ninda, and that too with that lady, you become so judgmental. And that woman, on the other hand, she was so prayerful. Just like I was reading Mukundwala Sutra, one that prayer, he says, Avismrititva Charanarvinde Bhave Mukunda Murdna Pranipatyache Bhavantam Ekantam Yantam Artham Avismrititva Charanarvinde Bhave Mestu Bhavat Prasada. He said, Mukunda, hey Mukunda, Murdna Pranipatyache, मैं अपना सिर झुका के आपसे प्रार्थना करता हूँ. What प्रार्थना है? एकम भवंतम, आपसे प्रार्थना कर रहा हूँ. एकांतम यंतम अर्थम, एक ही चीज मांग रहा हूँ. That one thing that I want is avismriti. Avismriti means, smriti means remembrance, विस्मृति मीन्स विकृत स्मृति, मतलब वो स्मृति करप्ट हो गया अभी. That means forgetfulness. So I want that. Now again he says avismriti, that no vikrit smriti, no forgetfulness. Means before asking for remembrance, he is asking for protect me from forgetfulness. Because we are conditioned souls, we have no experience of purity and we are so confused sometimes or immature in our practice. We become very judgmental, we very proud, sometimes overconfident with our standards, or sometimes over depressed with our poor standards, always in extreme, or sometimes too fanatic and overconfident, sometimes too frustrated with lower standards. So therefore he is telling that basically I don't know what is good bad for me, you only guide. Avasmriti, I am forgetting what is right, what is wrong. Avasmriti tat charanarvinde. And the biggest cause of such forgetfulness is such a kind of confusion is that I don't remember your lotus feet. Bhave bhave means to bhavat prasada. Again he says prasad. Therefore by your mercy only, in every bhava, again when I appear, that means he has no hope for going back to Godhead. He is assuming that I will continue to take birth because I am so fallen. So therefore, whatever is the state, I don't want a life without your with your forgetfulness. So please cure this disease of forgetfulness. It is the biggest trouble. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita says, "Ichha dvesa samurthena dvanda mohena bharata." So this ichha and dvesh or duality, that is like all pervading every aspect. One creates the institution to protect preaching, but the same institution became an obstacle for preaching. The Prabhupada, I have a book, Deity published it, Prabhupada's many poems. Probably he wrote before going to Yatra. So it's not that Bada Kripa Koili Krishna and one or two bhajans. There are many bhajans Prabhupada has written. So I just opened one of the bhajan, and there Prabhupada is telling Srigal Vasudev, he has now forgotten your. So Prabhupada is quoting Srila Prabhupada, means his spiritual master, and telling Srigal Vasudev. There is one Ananta Vasudev disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He fell down, and before he fell down, he was posing as big sannyasi and big dedicated disciple. Prabhupada is writing his poem, "Are you jackal, you fox, you did not listen to the instruction of our Prabhupada to preach and instead went into this type of useless things, fell down with a woman. Why this is happening, dear Prabhupada? Because they are neglecting your instruction to preach, and therefore they are falling." So that his Prabhupada is reminding us that how one remains in the shelter. So that is basically following the instruction as best as possible. After doing that, there will be mistakes again. For that, Krishna is there. He is telling Apichet Suduracharo. At least, so these two verses are very special. One is Mithyachar verse in 3rd chapter. He says, क्या क्या है नहीं उसका शुरुआत में क्या होता है, मीन्स मनसा स्मरित ऐसे करके आता है ना. एक्सटर्नली इज कंट्रोलिंग द सेंसेस but internally he is always meditating on sense gratification. Krishna is very angry on them. He is telling mithyachara so uchyate. But the similar thing is there. It comes later, 9th chapter. He says, if someone is ananya bhag, bhajate mam ananya bhag, even if he is sudurachari, one should treat him as a apiche sudurachari, bhajate mam ananya sadhu reva samantavya. So consider him like a say. Why? Chipram bhavati dharmatma. He will soon become dharmatma. Why? Because he is ananya bhag. He is trying his best. So therefore, raga dvesa vimuktastu vishayan indriyashran. Then it says, vidhe atma sa prasadam adhigachati. That means when one is making his choices based on rag and dves. Rag means likings, dves means disliking. In most simple way, we can say this. We generally try to avoid what we don't like. Just like if we are feeling sleepy, we will try to avoid all scopes of any active service and then find what we like, that is an opportunity to sleep. So this way, what happens when some seva is given, we don't like to do them in proper way. why after the Bhagavatam this seva is given? At least after second half, I'm talking about myself because desire is tainted with rag and dvesh. Attachment is with sleeping propaganda. And detachment is from seva propaganda. So generally we were having disliking from things that will help us grow and come out of comfort zone, and we have liking for things that will make us degrade and get into comfort zone. This is the danger. Therefore, Krishna says this two way of dealing with this world is very harmful. Rag and dvesh. Raga dvesha vimukta istu. Therefore, one is free from raga dvesha. Vishayan Indriyascharan, and like that ultimately will allow our senses to go towards the sense objects. One should therefore become Vidhi Atma, Vidhi Atma. Vidhi Atma means one who has become surrendered to Vidhi. Vidhi means rules, regulation, discipline properly. So such a person who is properly disciplining himself, trying to save himself from the effects of rag and dvesh, he is what? Is the rightful candidate of my prasad, mercy. Sa prasadam adhigachati. And when he gets the prasad, his intelligence becomes clearer. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, ye namam priyantite. I give him the clear intelligence. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasya jayate prasanna chetavyasu buddhi paryavatishthate. He says such a person who gets the mercy, his buddhi becomes properly fixed. His intelligence becomes properly fixed. How it becomes? By my mercy. Tesam satatam yuttanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give him not buddhi, I give him buddhi yog. That means spiritual intelligence. I supply him the spiritual intelligence to help him what is right and wrong. Otherwise, just vidhi, but if by doing the vidhi we cannot attract Krishna's mercy by becoming arrogant, then that vidhi will not create humility, that will not help us, and that will only become obstacle. We'll get caught up with rules and regulation, and therefore, what is vidhi for us? For that, we have mercifully the instruction of Srila Rupa Goswami. In just 11 texts, he has given us the Upadesh, the Vidhi for us. And he starts with Vacho Vegam and he takes us to Radha Kund. He starts with Vacho Vegam in the first verse, in the 11th verse it talks about Radha Kund. From conditioned state, not just purified state, but to completely Swarup Siddha state when someone, so last 4-5 verses are again beyond our reach, where first verse talks about 6 urges. One should start with first disciplining their 6 urges, and then 6 enemies of bhakti, and then 6 things that will help one to improve bhakti, and the 6 things one should do to improve loving experiences, loving exchanges within devotee community. And then he says how one should be respecting different levels of devotee, Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttam Adhikari devotees, how one should be respecting. And then he fears, probably he will become too judgmental. Immediately in the next sloka, Rupa Goswami brings, don't judge a Vaishnava by his body, external situation. Just like Ganga may appear very polluted because people are dumping contamination there, but Ganga is always pure. Similarly, a Vaishnava is always pure. One should not consider Bihari devotee, Bengali devotee, charismatic devotee, boring devotee, serious devotee, fanatic. That is very judgment. Senior devotee, junior devotee, very old, very new, beginner. We should not make such discrimination. We have to discriminate Kanishta, Madhyam, Adhikari, and based on that give respect. But it should not become too judgmental. Who is Kanishta, who is Madhyam? Therefore, immediately says, don't judge based on what. And then how to basically do karna kya hai? Immediately says chant. Pitto patatta rasanasya rochikano. You may not have the taste to chant. He brings holy name. The chant holy name, although it may not be appearing tasty, because we are in diseased condition. So that is the final medicine he introduces, final vidhi for us. So many don'ts, so many do's, but the ultimate thing that Rupa Goswami gives us as medicine is chant always, as much as possible. Chant, 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 and then after that the verses becomes little elevated. He says one should chant 24 hours a day. We cannot do this. Even if we try to chant 2 hours, in that we fail to chant properly. So Rupa Goswami says those verses become higher. One should chant 24 hours a day, go to Vrindavan, and then remain there under the guidance of Guru, and then perform devotional service of hearing and chanting. And then he glorifies of all the dhams, Mathura is best, then Govardhan is best, then Vrindavan is best, then Govardhan is best, then Radhakund is best. Then he glorifies how Radhakund is best, because among all the people, Karma Yogis are best, then Jnana Yogis are best, then devotional Bhaktas are best, then Gopis are the best devotees, and finally Srimati Radharani is best, and Radhakund is dear to Radharani. Therefore, one should surrender and render service to Radhakund. Like that, it starts from Vachove, it takes one to such a higher state. It all starts with following the vidhi, because when we follow the vidhi, sha prasadam adhigachati, he attains the mercy. So in this text, basically in Srimad Bhagavatam, what we are trying to discuss here is sex desire is just one of the parameters. We do not know what is basically an obstacle at present for us. Someone who is not feeling lusty may be a victim of anger or envy or some other thing. The anarthas take some or other form, somehow or other. So one should not feel discouraged, hopeful, remain prayerful and continue, because even just like few days back we were hearing about Vamsidas Babaji, a pure devotee shows through his life, what are the problems that will come in our life and how to handle. So even Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj for a split second got a desire to taste fish, but he became very angry on the desire. So much so that he bound all the deities, threw them in Ganga with a rope, punishing them. That why without, it is not you, you are the ultimate controller. So how you allowed such a desire to come in? So he is a pure devotee. His reciprocation with the deities is not to be imitated. Similarly, we have Yamunachari, Yadavadi Mama Cheta Krishna Padar Vinde, Tadavadi Ekpat Nari Sangame Smaryaman. If at the time of serving the lotus feet of Krishna or thinking about Krishna, that memory comes of Sangha with a woman. That means associating, when the thoughts of having association with a woman comes in my mind, along with the thought of Krishna, I become disgusted. My face gets curled. My mouth becomes curled, and I spit on that thought, and he spits on. So that means even Yamunacharya is telling that when we are in this material world, the duality will affect us. It will create trouble for us. Sometimes in the form of sex desire, or sometimes in the form of some moral codes, or sometimes it can come in the form of good things. Sometimes in the form we are not very sure. Therefore, what is the solution? Stay in the guidance of superiors. That will be protection for us. Sometimes we don't realize we are overacting or we are doing proper service. Sometimes in the name of book distribution, we may basically give vent to our passion. And then, although it was said, go for only 1 hour, 2 hour, one may spend 5 hours, 6 hours, just to show a performance. So we can get caught up with this. Therefore, basically, Bhakti Maharaj was making up these all points that one may have done so many things, but these may all count as one's performance, but they are all just Krishna's mercy. But is our heart seriously free from sex desire? That will require lot of efforts, lot of personal efforts and mercy of the seniors. Sukhdev Goswami's glorification is basically setting a stage where we develop tremendous respect for the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukhamukhad Amrita Drava. Why Sukhamukhad has become Amrita? Because Sukhadev Goswami is in such a state. Before hearing Bhagavatam, he is having such elevated stage. What to talk of after hearing from Vyasadev? And it is also stated that Vyasadev also is on the same level. It is just out of custom he is pretending that he is a householder and he has to discriminate, but he is also on the same level. Thank you very much. श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम। जय गौर प्रेमानंद।